What shall we put in the magic curtain up here? How about this? Okay, no, okay. How about this? Alrighty. How about this then? Alrighty, that's what we're going with. Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for September 9th. September 9th is the 252nd day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 253rd in leap years, with 113 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is unabashed. Unabashed is an adjective, and that silly old dictionary defines it as not abashed. So we're going to look a little further. Abashed is an adjective that means made to feel uncomfortable, disconcerted, or embarrassed by something that has happened or been done or said. This comes from the verb abash, that means to destroy the self-possession of, to confuse or put to shame, as by arousing a feeling of guilt or inferiority. So then, unabashed would be not those things. For example, if insecure to begin with, she was abashed by the lack of audience response when she made her presentation. As compared to, he was unabashed by the apparent rejection of his presentation. The word unabashed, as I mentioned, comes from the word abashed, which comes to us from Middle English, Old French before that, and possibly from some combined Latin and Scandinavian word parts before that. First known use of the word unabashed is in the 1400s. Unabashed. Today's word unabashed was requested by YouTube viewer ddally8851. Thanks, ddally. And if you have a word you'd like us to examine in this Word of the Day segment, drop it in the comments. We'll take a look at it. And with that, California became the 31st state in the United States on September 9, 1850. California's capital city is Sacramento, and its largest city is Los Angeles. California is the third largest by area and the most populous subnational entity in North America. California's nickname is the Golden State, a tip of the hat to the California Gold Rush. California's motto is Eureka, and its anthem is I Love You, California. People who are from or who live in California are called Californians and may also be called Californianos, and in the past may also have been called Californios. California has the largest economy in the United States, and if it were a country, it would have the fifth largest economy in the world, surpassing the United Kingdom and India, primarily due to California's agricultural industry, which includes dairy, almonds, and grapes. That's not all, though. Some 40%, almost half of the goods imported into the United States, come through the Los Angeles port. In addition, Hollywood is considered the entertainment capital of the world, and it's located in California. California is also interesting as regards geography and geology. The summit of Mount Whitney is the highest point in the contiguous United States, and Badwater Basin and Death Valley is the lowest point. California is somewhat notorious for earthquakes as well, due to it being located along the very geologically active Pacific Ring of Fire region. While one might be able to grow a redwood tree in other locales, the coastal California region and up into southern Oregon is where you'll find the redwood forests. California is also home to the world's largest living tree, a giant sequoia known as the General Sherman tree, located in Sequoia National Park in California. The state flower is the California poppy. State insect is the California dog-faced butterfly. State mammals include the California grizzly bear and the gray whale. California's state reptile is the desert tortoise, and of course, the state trees are the coast redwood and giant sequoias. Lots of amazing, interesting things to see and do in California. Happy Statehood Day! This is the birthday of Douglas Lloyd Ingle, born September 9th, 1945 in Omaha, Nebraska. He was the founder, organist, and lead vocalist for the band Iron Butterfly, which he founded in 1966, and was the last surviving member of Iron Butterfly's first lineup. He wrote the group's iconic song, Gadda Da Vida, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. The group disbanded in 1971, and while Iron Butterfly would occasionally try to reassemble, Doug was not involved in their last two albums. Other than that, he would occasionally play with a few other groups, but pretty much went to a more anonymous, ordinary life, doing such things as managing an RV park and painting houses. Doug Ingle passed in May of 2024 at the age of 78. Doug Ingle. Now, here's where I remind you that we have a playlist of episodes for this day in history, as well as a playlist of single subjects called How About That? And words of the day in a playlist called There's a Word for That. And I'll leave those links to those playlists for you. You can browse the description for those links and quite a few others as well. Today's song is Gadda Da Vida by Iron Butterfly. Written by Doug Ingle, the original 17-plus minute version of this song takes up a whole side of Iron Butterfly's second studio album of the same name, Gadda Da Vida. That album, by the way, peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Albums chart and sold more than 8 million copies in its first year of release, outselling every record in the history of recorded music at that time, and was the highest-selling album in 1969 in the U.S. Released in June of 1968, 17 minutes was a bit long for most of your top 40 AM radio play, so they did release a single version that was 2 minutes and 52 seconds long, and that's what we'd hear on the likes of WKY or more likely KOMA in Oklahoma, where I grew up. So why is it called Gadda Da Vida? I think at the time we may have heard that the phrase Gadda Da Vida was supposed to be something like in the Garden of Eden, and in today's research I find that sure enough, Doug Ingle intended it to be a love song from the biblical Adam to his mate Eve. Doug was playing his newly written song for drummer Ron Bushy, and the lyrics came across a bit slurry as Doug had been imbibing wine throughout the evening, and his enunciation wasn't all that clear. The lyrics in the Garden of Eden sounded like Gadda Da Vida. So that's what Ron wrote down. I'd say it worked, though. They began performing the song live before they ever recorded it for release. As you listen to the song, you'll notice that the lyrics are simple and the lyrical segments brief, just at the beginning and the end of the piece. Most of the long version is instrumental, with an amazing drum solo in the middle, and man, could that Doug Ingle play the organ. Listen for the passage that takes a musical quote from God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. That's pretty cool. The single version of Gadda Da Vida is the only song of Iron Butterflies to secure a spot on the top 40, reaching number 30. But the album was a big seller and really put Iron Butterfly on the map. Gadda Da Vida turns out to be one of the firsts in the genre of heavy metal and has certainly influenced those who followed. Gadda Da Vida has been covered by other artists and featured in popular culture. Gadda Da Vida by Iron Butterfly. Link in the description. Oh, this reminds me of something. A negotiation tactic an old salesman told me about many, many years ago. Say there's something you want to do, something you want to present, maybe a product you want to sell. You lay out your idea, you give your pitch, whatever, and the person you're speaking to immediately says no, or they don't answer right away, like they're thinking about it. Some people's first answer to just about anything is no, but when they've had a chance to think about it a bit, maybe they change their mind, but they've already said no. So here's how I handle that. Make your pitch, ask your question, whether they hesitate or even if they say no to begin with. Right away, the next thing you say is, "That's okay, you don't have to decide right now. You think about it, and we'll talk about it later." Sometimes people will say no because they don't like the pressure of having to decide right now. Give them a little time to think about it. They're happier, you're happier. That's okay. You don't have to decide right now. You think about it. I'll check back with you later about it. Probably the most unabashed way to handle rejection that I can think of. And I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with the link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Alrighty, back to work. I think we got it this time.